So some people might look at me and think I really have it all together. Happily married, great kiddo, CEO of a successful company, worldwide renowned in my field. The truth of the matter is that I've been flying by the seat of my pants my entire life. Case in point. So, yeah, got to back up into it. Look at it, yes, let me breathe for just a second, everybody, and talk about my story. So looking at me now, you probably would never imagine that I was once addicted to alcohol and drugs. And it's been quite a trip. So let's go back and imagine that we're in my 20s at college, and I find this thing that I'm totally passionate about. Or you find this thing that you're totally passionate about, right? You're in your 20s, you're there, and it's like the thing that you want to do for the rest of your life. It's like every single day, just can't get enough of it. For me, this passion was glass blowing. I first discovered glass blowing at Tyler School of Art in the glass shop there, which is just outside of Philadelphia. And the truth of the matter is I had a crush on this girl, and she was a glass blower, and I spent a lot of time in the glass studio, and since I was in there, she decided that I might as well do something. So she taught me how to do some basic assistant. So what happened was the first gather of glass that I got, it just got me. It was like, we call it getting bit by the glass bug. And I couldn't let it go. So there's a thing about glass blowing that's highly addictive. It's like a dance. When I'm in the shop, I'm in this zone, and there's nothing else that matters, and I don't think about anything else. I'm totally in with the material. And my body is moving, and we're dancing around, and all this stuff wants to do is just drip off the end of the pipe or break into a million pieces, shatter all over the place. And it's my job to convince it not to do that. So it's really addictive because of that intensity. And everything about glass blowing is intense. You know, you've got the heat, you've got the focus that it takes to do it. You've got the resources that go into it. And then you've also got the people who do it. I don't know if you know many glass blowers, but we're quite a rowdy bunch, to put it mildly. They call us, sometimes we're known as the truck drivers of the art world. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but it does sound pretty badass, right? So you can imagine how excited I was when I got invited to open up a studio with my friend Tom. So he was my glassblowing partner at the college, and he had a business doing like concrete floors for car dealerships. It's this really off-the-wall business, but he had a passion for glassblowing. So we opened up a studio together, and it was the best job. It was like a dream job. I got to blow glass every day. And not only that, I didn't have to foot the bill. So basically, I would show up, be fully creative, and make whatever I wanted to, which really allowed me to build my skills up and make things that I would never imagine doing, like back in the studio at the college or by myself. It was really wonderful, and it lasted about 2 years. And then I started to feel pretty burned out, and we split up. So I think he moved the studio, and I kind of broke up with glass for a little while and kind of went on to some other stuff. So the next phase of things, in the meantime, kind of what's been going on in the background of my life this whole time was, remember the girl from the glass shop? Well, she and I had been dating for quite a bunch of years, and all throughout that time, she had an illness that required, it was chronic, so she would have like 1 to 2 surgeries a year for about 10 years. So dealing with all the stress of that, I was her main caretaker. So what would happen is she'd come home from the surgeries. I'd have to be there full time, so I could never keep a job. Kind of bounced around and dealt with the stress by visiting a local water hole. Wherever we were at, we were always in the bar to kind of deal with it. So this went on for about 10 years. We were together dealing with that, and I decided that I needed to kind of get back into school. Needed to kind of get it together. Needed some stability. Get out of this rut. And I started thinking about. I always liked technical drawing, so I was like, well, I'll do architecture, maybe some industrial design. Maybe I'll go that route. Lo and behold, the minute I thought about that, I got a phone call and was offered a job at a manufacturing company doing industrial design work. My first job was actually this, building all this crazy stuff for this casino in Atlantic City. It was like doors and railings, this massive job. And then from that, it went on to all these accounts all over the United States. And by the time I was done with that place, in my third year, I was in charge of about a quarter of the company's revenue, which was in the millions of dollars. And it was incredibly stressful. But it paid well. That was the best paying gig I had had up at that point. I was 29 years old, making $50,000 a year, right? And when I was out on the road, I ate really well. It was all in the company tab. I ate really well, and I drank a lot to deal with the stress. Meanwhile, at home, I had plenty of money to go out every night. So we'd hit the bar. We had a great bar. It was awesome food, wonderful people. A lot of creative folks would hang out there. And we would, basically our lives revolved around this. And I was in that place for about 10 years, and basically I would work to go party. And that's kind of what it was all about. So you can imagine that manufacturing job fell apart pretty quick, because it was like I'd mess up and I'd get stressed out, and I'd drink more and I'd mess up, get stressed out, and so on. It was this really vicious cycle. And I quit that job and cashed out my 401k and was like, all right, I gotta get my life together here. So I kind of bounced around through some freelance jobs and some, just really couldn't kind of get a hold on anything. Meanwhile, like, our relationship fell apart. She went 2 years without a surgery, and neither one of us knew what to do with ourselves. It's like, she wasn't sick. I didn't have to be a nurse. What do we do? So that fell apart. It got to this point where I really had no direction in life. I had no direction professionally. And I had already started shedding things, so I decided the best thing to do was to get out of Philadelphia. And the only way I could see doing that was getting rid of everything that didn't fit in my little pickup truck. So I had a 1988 Nissan D12, the real little ones, right? It had a four-speed manual transmission. I got a topper for the back of it, and I had 42 cubic feet that I had to fit my entire life into. So basically all the tools and the work that I was going to take with me and try to make a living along the way on the road. Then I decided I wanted to go to California. I'd never seen the redwoods, and I always wanted to go out to the Golden Gate Bridge. So I left in November of 2011 in my little truck and headed out to California. There were many adventures along the way, none of which I have time to get into now. We don't have enough time tonight. But I did end up making it out to San Francisco right around Christmas time. The travel was a meander. I went around, visited a lot of friends and family, and basically survived on the kindness and love from the friends and family. When I left Philadelphia, I only had $1,500 and no credit cards. So I end up, it's Christmas Eve, and I am out in San Francisco. I decide I'm gonna walk around San Francisco and kind of think. So walk all the way across town, get to the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's sunset. Get all the way out into the middle of the bridge. And the reason why I've always wanted to go out there is because I wanted to stand there and see if I was gonna jump, because that's where I was at. I didn't know. But I had to go and find out. So once I got there, I was overwhelmed by just the beauty of the place and the people around me. And I started to feel the love of my friends and my family and the love of being alive and present. And I turned and walked off the bridge, went back to Oakland. Now, a whole bunch of, between that point and this point, the point of that bridge and where I'm at right now, there's a lot of stories. And I can't get into them all right now. One of my favorite is when I met my wife, Robin Humphreys, on my second trip to San Francisco. And it's a lovely story, but don't have time right now. But how I ended up here is I met Devin Cole in Toledo, Ohio. Oddly enough, on the back of a truck blowing glass out of a little portable furnace. And he came to me and he said, "You need to come down to Americas." Okay, sure, sounds great to me. So I came on down, I got the phone call, came to GSW as a visiting artist. And when I walked into the shop at GSW, I felt right at home. It felt exactly like it felt when I walked into the studio at the Tyler School of Art so many years ago. It's a really extraordinary throwback as far as the studio goes, and it's full of the creative energy that I had felt when I was a student. So basically, they were hiring and looking for a studio technician, and I was lucky enough to get the job. And I was really lucky because most places they require a degree of some kind, and I never finished, a couple shots at it. So they gave me the job, and I was there, and I'm like, well, okay, time to get my degree again. Let's go. I can do it this time. I'm older. I can do it. Get enrolled, ready to go, and then guess what happens? I built a studio for the art department to go blow glass out in public. It's like a 30-year tradition here. So I built one, and an alumni saw it and said, "Hey, can you build me one of those so I can have it in my garage?" I was like, "Sure." So I built it, and everybody who saw that one was like, "Hey, could you build me one of those? I want one of those." And next thing you know, we have a business that formed, and my third attempt at a degree track was derailed. I don't regret it this time. I would like to finish my degree someday, and I know if I had gotten my degree in the past, it really would have helped me through so many mistakes that I had made and so many missed opportunities. But here we are. So if you can learn anything from this, if you get anything from this talk, this wandering talk, is follow your passion. I followed my passion, and I often let it lead the way for me. It showed me the path. And if you do get to a point where you start questioning life and your value in it, reach out to your friends and your loved ones, because they're going to give you the feedback that you really need to understand how important it is that you exist. So, thanks.